Hey guys, welcome to Pastimes Farm.ily. So this week, Mom and Dad are actually out of town. So I have 4 of the kids, and then Georgia is actually here at home with the other 2 kids. So today, while everybody is in school for the day, I decided that we're gonna go ahead and make some sourdough raviolis. I tried this recipe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they turned out absolutely amazing. And so the kids were like, we should do raviolis for dinner. So since I can't really do a lot of gluten and stuff like that, I'm like, well, I'll just make my sourdough ones. So real quick, it's morning time and we're going to just mix up the dough for it because the dough needs to set for about 8 hours. And then we'll come back this afternoon and we'll roll them out and we will get the filling and everything put in those. So I've already got everything measured out. A lot of the recipes do not use eggs in them. I really like to use eggs in my noodles. So I've got 4 eggs here and we're just gonna put it in our mixer. So we'll get that scraped out. And then I have about half a cup of sourdough starter that we're gonna add in here. And this is really, really good. It was super, super nice and bubbly just a little bit ago. I feed it every night. So I had this set out to the side last night. And I'll just set that in there. And then some of the recipes call for less flour. I typically end up adding a little more flour just because, just depending on the time of the year, especially in the summer when it's more humid outside, you'll want to add a little bit more flour to your dough or it'll be really sticky. So in this bowl, I went ahead and put my flour and my salt in it. And I add about half of it, and then I start mixing it, and then we'll add the other half as it starts mixing. And then we can really tell how much flour if we need to add more or less than what I have measured out. And the eggs make it a really nice yellow color, and they make the noodles so much fluffier, and we really, really enjoy using farm fresh eggs in our noodles. So this was the amount of flour that they actually had on the recipe that they wanted me to use in it, but it's still really, really sticky, so we will end up adding more flour to that. This is a half a cup measure, so we're gonna go ahead and put about half a cup in there, and we'll see where the dough is at after that. That really helped firm it up, and we're gonna go ahead and scrape this down and make sure that we get the edges, all the flour off of them. You can actually see in here, it's really sticky. It is still sticking to my fingers. And I really enjoy using the KitchenAid because it just mixes so well. At home, I just mix by hand because I do not have a KitchenAid. But when I come to Mom's, she does, so that's why I came here to do it. So I'm gonna add a little bit more flour to that. And we'll see where this gets us. So typically when it starts balling up like this, it is typically getting to the point that we need it. There's still a little bit more in there. Let's see where we're at. We're still kind of sticky, but we are getting super, super close. I don't like it sticking to my fingers like this. And then by the time it sets for the 8 hours, it is is normally more sticky, so we really try not to add too much extra flour to it when we get to that stage. And usually I do have a bread hook that I use. Being that I'm over here at Mom's, I can't find the bread hook, so we're just using the paddle on it. We're gonna scrape this off. Put some flour on my hands. I'm gonna scrape it off and get this in here.
My handsome hubby.
We're gonna add a little more flour because some of this is still, like I said, some recipes don't call for this much flour, but we're going to do it because I know how I like the dough. Watch that. Get that back up and go. Actually, this is not mixing well, so we're gonna finish mixing this here on the counter by hand because it just is not. It's just spinning the dough in circles. So if you have a mixer, you can go ahead and finish mixing by hand. It doesn't hurt anything. And we'll just finish kneading this up. Let's see. Typically, this is not this hard to get off. Oh well, we'll just grab it all up. So finish grabbing this. And I just smush it out and then keep rolling it back over like this. And it'll finish getting all of this flour mixed into it. And sometimes, if I would have had the bread hook, it probably would have mixed this all the way. But with the paddle, it just wasn't wanting to grab it like it usually would. Like you guys can see here, this is not mixed in, where over here it's really mixed in. We're gonna keep working this dough, and really it's, even when I grab it, it sticks a little bit, but by the time we get all this flour off, we might add a tiny bit more, and that'll be about it. Absolutely love this recipe. It is super easy to make. I know I used to just be like, oh, they look so complicated, and I actually would just go buy frozen raviolis and throw them in. I'd cook them frozen, and these actually, I make the dough in the morning, and then come afternoon I just roll them out, add the stuff, cut them up, and they're super easy, and they're so much better for you. And like with me not being able to do a lot of gluten, I can do these and they don't hurt my stomach at all. And then I get to use fresh eggs in them. So it's an excuse for me to use up a majority of my eggs. So we're doing this, and after I finish kneading this together, we're just gonna throw it in a bowl. And typically I will put it in my fridge and just put it like this, and I will just put it in my fridge and it'll rise. I'll knock this down a couple of times while it is in the fridge, and then in about 8 to 9 hours I will come back when the kids are close to getting out of school, and I will get it rolled out and we will go on from there. Hey guys, we're back and it's later on this afternoon, and I have our dough completely done. It has rose, we have punched it down, and it is ready to be rolled out. But I'm going to show you first how we go ahead and we make our filling for it. So in this bowl, I actually have our ricotta cheese. I put an egg in here to help bind it together. And then a lot of recipes do not call for mozzarella cheese, but we love cheese, so why not? So we're just going to dump it into our mixer and get all of that in there. And you easily can mix this by hand with a spatula, but like I said earlier, just because we're at Mom's and we have the mixer, we're gonna go ahead and use it. And then I also have 1 pound of cooked ground pork, just like a breakfast sausage, that I prefer to use in it. You can use ground pork, you can use ground beef, you can add your own seasonings. I just prefer to use breakfast sausage. It just works a lot better. And like I said, there's 1 pound of it in here. So we had that all cooked up earlier, and we're going to just put that in here. And we'll get that mixed up. So on this one, earlier, like I was telling you, we had just a paddle we used in our mixer, but then on this one, we actually have just like a whisk beater that we're gonna use it. We got this done mixing up. It just doesn't take long at all. We're gonna scrape our edges. And it'll be a pretty firm mixture. It'll be really easy to scoop out right onto the spots that we need. Sometimes the mixer doesn't get the eggs and stuff off the sidewall, so we just do a quick mix in here. And you can see, like, it is pretty firm. Like, it's just cheese and stuff, but it is super, super easy to work. So we're gonna set that down to the side. And then, like I said earlier, we wanted our flour pretty firm so we didn't have to deal with it really sticking to our cabinets at all. But I go ahead and flour everything just to make sure that that stays how we want it. So I just kind of press this all out and try to get as flat as possible before I start using my rolling pin. And then we make them pretty. So the thinner you get it, the easier it is to work with. You just don't want it so thin that you can't pick them up and mess with them. So I try to make sure I put a decent amount of flour onto my dough so that it doesn't stick to the pin. A lot of people will use flour and just do their pin anyways. So let's get this rolled on out. I have learned that the more square you make this, the easier it is to cut it and get your full use out of them. But my mom's really good at getting it square, and I am not as good at that. And then once you get it rolled out a little bit, I move it and I put a little more flour down because it tends to absorb it a little more, and I go ahead and flip it. And if you did not get an arm workout in this week, this is the way to go. You'll be here a little while doing it, and it is some good work. But yeah, the kids are really gonna love having these tonight for dinner. I like the sourdough because I have made so much stuff with it. I have made sourdough, waffles, pancakes, biscuits, pizza dough. We've done just pasta noodles. We've done spaghetti noodles. The raviolis are just quick and easy. They really are. They're just super easy to do, and they're super filling because you can add as much meat and cheese as you want to them, and they're just so good. So I have this pretty flat how I want it. So now I'll just work on trying to make it a little more square. You can see this dough is really easy to work with. And a lot of that has to do with how you mix it in the mixer and how much flour you add. If you don't add enough flour, it is going to be harder to mess with. But with it like this, it's just super easy. So for the most part, we have this pretty square. I mean, overall, like, I really don't know if I could get it much more square. I'd have to have Mom come in and do it. So today, I don't have a ravioli cutter. You can find the ravioli cutters on Amazon, and they're really, really nice. I've used them before. I did not have mine with me today, so I actually just found a little container that has a little rectangle shape that I would like to use. And so I will just come along here and just overall make a little print on here of how I would like these. And I don't cut them out like this because I don't like the waste. So this just gives me a general idea of how I need to cut these out. And this, like I said, this works really, really well. And a lot of people do have ravioli cutters, and they work super, super well. So it's really just whatever you have with you to do this. So since I make mine pretty big, a lot of people make them smaller. I prefer to just do some big ones, and it's just easier to do. So we'll come along here, and this will feed, this was a double batch for the recipe, and this will feed the 4 kids that I have at home and my husband and I, and then I'll probably make another batch for the 3 kids that are staying here at the house this week, and that'll give them 2 meals. So we're gonna do 2 batches of these. And you can still come in here and stretch this out and make sure that you get the amount that you need. Come through here. And you can make these thinner, you can make them thicker. That's what I love about it, is you can just make these however you want. So now that I have this done, I actually just use the pizza cutter to do it. It makes it so much easier. You just follow along the lines, and it's just easy. And like I said, these do not have to be perfect. We don't make them the same size, we don't weigh them out, none of that. It's just too much. So I just cut them out the best that I can, and that's what we go with. And there's been times that I've been in a hurry and I don't even have time to sit here and deal with even getting them this close in size. And there's been times I just take a piece of the dough and I just roll it out, and I just roll it in a ball, and I just pull it apart, and I put the dough in and pinch the tops and do them like dumplings. But the kids prefer the square shape that these have. So now that those are done, all right, we are back over here, and I've got my water boiling on the stove, and then we have our raviolis. So with these, we're just gonna put them in the water, just however many fit in the pan. And it looks like kids just got home from school, but we'll put them in here, and then when they're done, they will actually start to float. How are you?
Can I go outside?
You may go outside. Are you excited to have raviolis for dinner?
No?
Homemade ones.
Yes. Don't put soaking in them.
Okay. How are you guys? Good.
Oh my God, there's a puppy dog.
Yeah, I did. I brought her.
Hi guys. Oh my God. She's so cute.
What you making? We're just gonna stir these so that they don't get stuck on the bottom, and then they'll start floating here pretty soon. Have you made these before, boy?
I made them with her once. They tasted good.
That one stuck to the table almost. Did Ella do that one? Nah, she didn't. She was taking a nap. All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes, and you'll be able to see them boiling.
Mimi? Why is it here? I was gonna eat it.
Me?
Is Georgia at work? What time did she go this morning? Do you know? Probably not. Wait. Come on. Baby, why we should get cats? Come on, baby.
Alright, I'm not sure if you guys can see in this video, but these are all floating up to the top. You guys can see how nice and big they get. They get really big and fluffy, and that's why I was saying just a double batch of it will easily feed us because these get so big and they're super, super filling. So I just put a strainer in a bowl because it's a lot easier to do this than to dump it into the sink because it takes me a little bit to scoop them out. I don't like dumping them into the strainer because the cheese may still make the dough pretty soft. So sometimes on the last ones I dumped them in and I had them breaking open. So I just put them in here and then I would just put a lid on the bowl and take these home, and to heat them up, I actually, though you will still be warm in the bowl tonight when I serve these, so I will actually just go ahead and heat the sauce up in a pan on my stove and just pour hot sauce over them, and they will be ready to go. Like, you guys can see like how big these are. These are literally so good. Let's see. I'm not sure if you can see them. They're so delicious. And I really don't put much water at all in this pan. I'd say there's maybe this much water in there. And it's just enough that it can cover these and make sure that they're fully cooked. And these do take a little longer than some other ones just because the dough is a little bit thicker on them. And they're just thicker and they're just bigger. So they just take a little bit longer to do. But with that being said, we have a whole strainer full of these already. And like I said, I'm just going to put them in here. And I actually will put about a slice of butter in there just to keep them from sticking to each other. And then when we go home, we'll put sauce on them and feed everyone, and it's super quick. In total, it took me probably 15 minutes, if even that, to make the dough for it this morning. And then just to do the filling in them and all of that took me maybe 20 minutes. And then to cook them, it took longer to boil the water than it did to actually cook these. So they're super easy. I'd say in total it takes me 45 minutes to an hour to make these, and they're so much healthier. They have the eggs in them, the sausage, all the cheese, all of that. They're just so much healthier for you. And if you have gluten problems, these are really, really good for you. And the sourdough helps you be able to digest the gluten because it breaks it all down.